Welcome to Jesse Waters Prime Time tonight.
The truth is they're trying to get out of it because she doesn't want to debate. She's not a good debater, not a smart person. She doesn't want to debate.
Is Kamala Harris ducking out of the debate?
And it doesn't matter how we look at this moment. It's about winning.
Take a look at what happened.
Whistleblowers, suspensions, investigations, and the Trump assassin.
We're making sure we have people everywhere votes are being cast and counted to have eyes on everything.
Democrats already playing games with Republican poll watchers. A special report. Plus,
what have you heard about Tim Walz?
A goofy kind of guy, man, the way he... And then high five, high five.
Party's over in Chicago, and Democrats woke up this morning with a Harris hangover. Still one eye shut, they rolled over in bed, opened up the paper to this headline. Joy is not a strategy. The New York Times saying they cringed when Kamala was called the president of joy. Quote, Democrats are bent on making the word happen. But joy is not a political strategy, and God is not a political strategy. Being our joyful mamala is not going to win the election. And the Ragin' Cajun had to dump a bucket of ice-cold water on their heads.
It has to be good in November. And I tell Democrats some caution here. First of all, most quants say we have to win by 3 in the popular vote to win the Electoral College. So when you see a poll that says we're 2 up, well, that's actually you're 1 down if the poll is correct.
Yeah, you'd lose.
The other thing is Trump traditionally, when he's on the ballot, chronically underpolls. Democrats have said, oh, James and Debbie down. Oh, what's he talking about? Well, I'm not, I'm just telling you, you got to win by 3.
The honeymoon's over. No more fake Beyonce teases to juice enthusiasm. Trump's already ramping up his schedule and putting his foot on the gas. One Trump advisor says, get ready for Trump on steroids. Friday's RFK endorsement and today's observance of Biden's disgraceful Afghan withdrawal, where 45 laid wreaths with the family members of the fallen in Arlington, has stolen Harris's convention momentum. Meanwhile, we haven't seen Kamala since Thursday night. After spending last week inside a hotel room rehearsing every line of her speech, she's now pulling a Biden and going AWOL for debate prep. 4 days straight of debate prep. The last time a Democrat over-prepared for a debate, they got knocked out with 1 punch. And debate prep might not be going very well because suddenly her handlers want to change the rules. They want Harris to be able to sit down at a table and want her to be able to bring notes. Now, if I was Kamala, I'd want to forget the last 4 years, too. But she can't bring cheat sheets to a debate. Even Hillary didn't need to be sitting. Kamala also wants to unmute the mics. 2 weeks ago, Harris said the debate was over, and it was time for Trump to man up. Now she's throwing last-second curveballs, ripping up the rules. Is she trying to weasel her way out of this?
We agreed to the same rules. I don't know. It doesn't matter to me. I'd rather have it probably on, but the agreement was that it would be the same as it was last time. In that case, it was muted. I didn't like it the last time, but it worked out fine. I mean, ask Biden how it worked out. It was fine. And I think it should be the same. We agreed to the same rules. Same rules and same specifications. And I think that's probably what it should be. But they're trying to change it. The truth is they're trying to get out of it because she doesn't want to debate. She's not a good debater. She's not a smart person. She doesn't want to debate.
Kamala wants the mics hot because she wants to be interrupted. Men don't look good when they interrupt women or argue with women. That's why I try not to interrupt Jessica so much on the 5. I try. And she'll probably snap back something sassy and the media will package it that she won. The stakes are high because a debate would be the first time Democrats lose control over their anointed one. She's on her own for 90 minutes, live, in front of the whole country. No script, no notes, no Oprah, no Obama, no excuses. Kamala is going to have to defend the Biden record while explaining how she's different. defend her own record, and explain how that's changed and what it's changed into, defend her role in the cover-up in the coup, and at the same time attack Trump's record on the economy, immigration, and crime, which everybody knows is better. And she'll have to do it with joy in her first presidential debate against a guy who's done 6. Now you know why she needs to bring notes. You'd think you'd want to do some interviews first, test out some lines, see how you react when you're being challenged before you debate Trump cold. But apparently, even that's too risky. The only way Kamala can win is if you don't know anything about her.
There's no reason for her to go on your show before the election, but I can actually see her.
Yes, there is, because I speak to the exact voter she needs, the person who is in the middle. Basically, that's exactly the audience she needs. The MSNBC crowd is already voting for her.
I think they're just all about winning the election, all right? Sometimes it's just about winning, and it doesn't matter how we look at this moment. It's about winning.
Right.
This is about winning.
Yep. No, it is.
It's a mad dash, and she is running, and she's not stopping to stumble.
Tarantino just said exactly what the Democratic Party believes, but's usually afraid to say. They'll do whatever it takes to win. Coups, duck debates, hide their policies, no interviews, arrest their rival, gag him, raid his house, lie about him. It's about effing winning. He said it. It's not about you at all. And it's definitely not about the democratic process. If the Democrats' ultimate goal is power, it's really their only purpose in life, then they can create an entirely new election process. Each year can be different. One year it can be hide the candidate and mass mail ballots. The next time it can be whack the nominee and hand over his war chest to a woman who won't do interviews. And they'll just lie to you about what they're doing and call it fair.
How are you feeling about the switch?
I mean, the switch. Now, we went through a very open process, and a very inclusive process. It was bottom up. I don't know if you know that. Yes, that's what I've been told to say.
Yes, it was a blitz primary, I believe is what they called it.
It's a very, very fast blitz.
That's what I've been told to say. They're lying to you and laughing about it. Kamala's never won a single primary vote, ever. And the one debate she committed to, she's trying to wiggle out of. Kamala did her first sit-down interview with her running mate without a reporter.
I have white guy tacos and
what is that, like mayonnaise and tuna? What are you doing?
Pretty much ground beef and cheese.
That's okay. Do you put any flavor in it?
No.
Oh.
Here's the deal. No, they said to be careful and let her know this, that black pepper is the top of the spice level in Minnesota,
I'm the first vice president, I believe, who has ever grown chili peppers.
A country where the Democrat presidential nominee refuses to do interviews isn't a free country. You don't have a free press if the press isn't free to interview presidential nominees. Putin does more interviews than Kamala.
You running for the presidency of the United States of America. What you hiding for? And I mean hiding in plain sight. Somebody got to say it. Somebody got to say it. Now, you can't be running for the presidency of the United States. Not one single press conference, not one single one-on-one sit-down interview where somebody gets to question you about the questions that we ask. That's not fair. That's not fair.
They don't care if it's not fair. If there's a risk Kamala could expose herself to negative publicity by answering questions, and this could cost her votes, Kamala's handlers don't think it's worth it. If winning is everything, why take any risks at all? Why not just campaign from a safe space? They'll continue to do that until the risks of not talking outweigh the risks of talking. Meaning, if the press starts giving her a really hard time and she starts looking like a chicken, then she'll talk. And the press is calling her smart for not talking to them. They're saying she's brave for not doing interviews. The press, to this point, is enjoying being benched in an election year because they'd rather lose their jobs and self-respect than lose an election. Only a few reporters are looking around and saying, guys, we don't have jobs if we just let Kamala ignore us for the sake of winning.
What do you think about the fact that Kamala doesn't talk to the press? In a way, I feel like it's more insulting than what Trump does. And Trump says you're the enemy of the people, which is pretty bad. But she's kind of saying I don't need you. I'm not talking to you. You don't matter. You're not relevant anymore. To me, that's even worse.
There's nothing the press hates more than feeling irrelevant. If the media doesn't have access to Kamala, then the media is just what? A bunch of campaign interns arguing with Republicans.
She said when she ran for president that she wants to eliminate private health insurance on the job for 170 million Americans, John.
Yeah, I mean that is not her position now. She
How do you know that's not her position? How do you know that's not her position?
I mean, she says she no longer supports Medicare for all.
She has not said that. Okay. Maybe anonymous aides on a Friday night have said that. When she campaigned for president, in her own right, she did, in fact, promise things like decriminalizing illegal immigration and taking away health insurance.
But that's his position she's clearly changed on, and she has said she has changed. Yes, she has.
No, she has not. John, she has not said that.
It's millions upon millions of illegal immigrants that have come in just since Kamala Harris became the border czar a few years ago.
She was put in charge of the root causes of migration.
Well, the root causes of migration, I would say, Kristen, is that Kamala Harris refuses to do her job as border czar.
Don't these people have any dignity? The Democrat nominee for president won't even talk to you, thinks you're useless, and you still go out and shill for her. What does it say about a candidate who steals a nomination, lies about her record, and then won't show her face? Elections drill down to one thing: character. Trump has an opportunity to turn this election into, are you going to vote for someone who's real or a phony? Rich Lowry, National Review, writes this in the Times. Presidential races, in this sense, are deeply personal. They usually involve disqualifying the opposing candidate rather than convincing voters that his or her platform is wrong-headed. Everything has to be connected to the deeper case that Ms. Harris is weak, a phony, and doesn't truly care about the country or the middle class. The scattershot Trump attacks on Harris need to be refocused on these character attributes. Politics not that hard. Trump has to do the thing Democrats have been trying not to do. Tell us who the real Kamala Harris is. A weak fraud, fixated on being exposed, instead of fixated on you, the voter. Did you know that Kamala Harris didn't grow up in Oakland, as she always said she did?
Where did this strength and passion come from in this daughter of middle-class Oakland?
Kamala Harris grew up in Berkeley, the People's Republic of Berkeley. Berkeley, the most insanely liberal precinct in America. Her birth certificate lists an apartment right next to Berkeley's campus. It's a half block south of People's Park, which is basically ground zero for every single radical protest movement. Kamala attended Berkeley public schools and was even bused to Berkeley public schools. Remember? That little girl was me. If you lie about where you grew up, which is at the core of who you are, people can't trust you. Maybe one day she'll be asked about it. Or maybe not.
Well, the debate over the debate, somehow it is back. The Trump and Harris campaigns are clashing over their September 10th showdown on ABC, including whether the microphones will be muted. So Team Kamala wants them hot, hoping they can catch Trump losing his cool on the microphone. But Team Trump wants to keep them muted, as it was during the debate with Biden. It is quite the reversal for the vice president. Kamala Harris is attacking Trump for wanting to stick to the rules after her campaign bashed him as a coward for wanting those same rules to change back when Trump floated a new debate schedule after Biden dropped out. But earlier, the former president seemed to be like, that's cool, I'm fine. Watch this.
All of a sudden, they want to make a change in the rules because she can't answer questions. We agreed to the same rules. I don't know. It doesn't matter to me. I'd rather have it probably on. But the agreement was that it would be the same as it was last time. In that case, it was muted. I didn't like it the last time, but it worked out fine. I'm not spending a lot of time on it. I think my whole life I've been preparing for a debate.
Team Kamala responding on X with this, saying, with this resolved, everything is now set for September 10th. But it is not just the mics. Trump is also accusing the debate host, ABC News, of political bias after this interview between Republican Senator Tom Cotton and ABC reporter Jonathan Karl.
What do you mean taking away health insurance? What are you talking about?
She said when she ran for president that she wants to eliminate private health insurance on the job for 170 million Americans, John.
Yeah, I mean that is not her position now. She knows.
How do you know that's not her position? How do you know that's not her position?
I mean, she said she no longer supports Medicare for all.
She has not said that. Okay. Maybe anonymous aides on a Friday night have said that.
A lot to get to here. I thought Tom Cotton did a pretty good job with like no notes, just off the top of his head, ready to go. But Judge, in a negotiation, when you have a deal, and let's just say a new party comes in and they accept that deal, then I don't think it's right then to try to change the rules, but I don't know, from a negotiation standpoint, what do you think the Trump team should do?
Well, I think the Trump team has already done what they need to do. And he basically said, okay, you can have the mute mic on or off. You know, he just said, I don't care. I'll do it anywhere. But it's interesting. I'm not sure in terms of like contractual things, whether it's in the name of the Democrat Party or the Biden campaign or the Biden-Harris campaign, where he is presumed the principal for her is the agent. Right. But I'm not going to go into that right now, Harold. Thank you. Thank you. But I got to tell you something. What's very interesting to me about this whole thing is I think she wants the mute button off. Because if you recall, one of the most viral moments that we remember from one of her rallies was when she said, I'm speaking. And I think she really wants to have the ability to say that again and to stop Trump and say, I'm speaking. So everyone
right, because she said it to the Palestinian protesters.
Exactly, to those protesters. Right. But I also think that the fact that the mainstream media is covering for Kamala and for her inability to come out and make statements about what she's standing for does a disservice not only to the media, but it also does a disservice to the independents. The independents who are looking for policy recommendations from Kamala. So on the one hand, they can say, oh, they love Kamala. She's all about joy and everything else. But there's that piece in the middle that's like, we want to know what you stand for before you actually think that we're going to vote for you. I also think there's another piece, and that is no confidence. I don't think Kamala Harris has confidence in herself. She came out and talked about price gauging, which I've never heard that word before. But when she talked about, she got panned on her economic policy from the left and the right. And I think that she doesn't have the ability and the confidence that we saw she lacked during the 3.5 years when she was the vice president. And finally, I think that I don't think she can multitask. I think she's spending all of her time getting ready for the debate, and she's doing nothing else. And that's why she very much wants to do this. But at the same time, I think she's frightened as well.
But in the meantime, Harold, we're waiting for this big interview, she said, is going to happen before the end of the month, which is the end of this week. Who's it going to be?
First of all, good to be back around. Is it going to be you? Are you getting the interview? Good to be back around this table. If I do, I'll have you with me. I've said before, she has to do interviews, has to do debates. But I agree 100% with what the judge just said. And I'm going to add on to it. The pettiness from both of these campaigns about mics being on or mics being off, I remind them both, you're running for the privilege of serving us in the United States. Yeah. Ordinarily, campaigns get together. This is not some new phenomenon. You're not you're not the only candidates we've had. Candidates' teams get together and they settle on 3 debates. They bicker over who's going to get to do it with the networks, but now since everyone's simulcasting it, it's a little different. We deserve to hear you talk about national security, economic growth, people's anxieties and aspirations, education, all of the things, reproductive rights, all the things you want to talk about. You should have to stand side by side and do it 3 times. The fact that we're only talking about 1 now is an embarrassment and an affront to our system and to the people. Finally, get with it. We deserve it. We deserve better. And when the judge and I can agree on a Monday afternoon, 100%, either something's really wrong or something could,
or it's going to be a great week.
Right, or something, and we could have a great week.
Jesse, I think Harold just told them to get it together.
I like what Harold said about that, but I disagree on one thing.
Yes, sir.
I like the pettiness.
I'm not surprised.
Because the Presidential Commission on Debates was boring. Right. And now we got rid of it, and now both of these people have to negotiate the debate.
Yep.
And so we talk about bathroom breaks and drug testing, and this is kind of shows how a president would negotiate for our country. Really? And the art of the deal and the kind of things that they care about and don't care about, and you get to see who has little savvy. She doesn't have it. She's only committed to 1 debate. She's scared of him. And actually, Jesse Jr. just texted me. He said, please tell Greg I want my shirt back.
Can you ask, please tell Jesse Jr. not to put Band-Aids on your hands?
Okay. Oh, this was Gigi's Band-Aid, because I think that's a girl, Paw Patrol. So
Paw Patrol.
She says she wants to sit down. She says she wants mics unmuted, and she says she wants notes. So she wants to do everything differently than Joe Biden did, right? And so she wants to be interrupted. She wants Trump to interrupt her because it never looks good when a man argues with a woman.
Does it not?
And interrupts a woman, as I've been told many times when Jessica's at the table. And I try not to, but she's going to try to snap back with sass, like the judge said, and have a moment. But why does she need notes? So debate prep probably is not going very well if her team is now at the last second asking for notes. She has a big challenge because on this debate stage, she has to defend the Biden record and then also say what she'd do differently. She has to defend her own record and now say what her new vision is, whatever that is. We don't know. And then she has to defend her role in the coup and the cover-up. And then she has to somehow attack Donald Trump on the economy, immigration, foreign policy, and crime. All areas, while by every metric, he has a much better record on. And, Dana, she has to do it with joy.
Yes, well, don't forget that.
Which is very difficult.
Greg, there's also a thing, do you remember in 2012? Actually, we were watching the debate together in 2012 when Candy Crowley helped Obama against Romney, right? And then you saw Jonathan Karl, his instinct was to say, well, actually, that's not Kamala Harris's position anymore. And Senator Tom Cotton basically just hit that one out of the park saying, how do you know that? And it's true, we don't know.
I'll get to that in a second.
Okay.
I'm glad you brought that up, though, Dana. And that's a lovely top.
Thank you.
So that's how you do it, Jesse. How do you debate someone who is agreeing with every one of your policies? It's like playing tennis with the opponent on the same side as your net. That's what Kamala is right now with Trump. She cannot dispute on any of those issues because how is he wrong on immigration? He's been proven right. Crime, he's on the right side. Inflation, he knows what he's doing. She's going to have to agree with him. So they're going to have to catch Trump. They're going to have to bring up hoaxes and mean tweets and all that stuff. To your point, which I hate saying, I'm not sure complaining about media bias really matters anymore at this point. And I think that should concern the media. Yeah. When people now just accept you as unreliable, corrupt garbage, that's bad. It's like being in a relationship, Jesse, and you know this. It's not fun when a spouse is upset with you, but it's worse when they no longer care enough to be angry. And that's how America is with the media. They're not even taking this seriously anymore. They've learned that this is fake. They understand that what they're doing is manufactured for a specific end. And to that end, it's kind of scary watching how this election unfolds. It's exactly how the media wants it to. What does their business model need? A really tight, razor-thin race. What was it not like a month ago? It wasn't tight. There was a big gap between Trump and Biden, and then all of a sudden, Harris comes in miraculously. No interviews, no pressers, no policy positions. It's razor tight. It's going right down to the wire. The media is like a pharmaceutical company, right? They need you on maintenance therapy. And you can only do that if you convince them there's a reason to tune in. A blowout gives you no reason to watch the news, but a tight race, that keeps them in business. They're just like a drug. You ever wonder why in a population of 300, 400 million at this point, it always comes down to this margin of 300,000 votes in key states? It's so evenly split in the United States. Even when most of America is pissed off about food prices, illegal immigration, crime, and they don't like the past 4 years, yet it's still razor thin. That defies logic. It defies your senses. It shouldn't be down the middle. It should be 80% of Americans should say, we want something different. So
that's why I thought there was going to be a red wave.
but you know the irony. You're right, Beer. You know the irony? If we did it in a way you're thinking about doing it, you didn't say this, but a popular vote, Democrats would have won in 2000. Democrats would have won in 2016 also. I like the Electoral College. I'm a minority of like 4 people in the Democratic Party that like it because I actually think it enables what you kind of were talking against there, but I think you may be for. Because if not, Democrats would win every time.
You see how he did that?
Yes, very good, Harold.
Can you tell me where we got the shirt? I'm going to get my son one, too.
You know what? It's good to be back around the table.
Click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You won't get it anywhere else.
If you enjoy this content, please consider subscribing to my channel to stay up to date with future videos. Thank you for watching.